I'm thrilled to be opening up this exciting journey as we pull back the curtains on PLTW's upcoming Algebra 1 Advantage offering. For those of you who might not be familiar with the PLTW community, let me take a moment to introduce you to Project Lead the Way. Project Lead the Way is a nonprofit organization that provides transformative learning experiences for pre-K through 12 students and teachers across the U.S. Our journey over the past 25 years has been dedicated to supporting career pathways in fields like computer science, engineering, biomedical science, and more, particularly through our middle school program Gateway and our other elementary school program Launch. Another key aspect of our approach is the professional development that we offer for teachers. It is recognized as best in class, and this training equips educators with the skills and knowledge to effectively engage students in these subjects. With a focus on these career fields, we're empowering teachers to engage their students in real-world experiences and apply their knowledge. But it's not just about the content and training. It's also about igniting the lifelong love for learning and discovery. And that brings us back to our exciting reveal today, PLTW's Algebra 1 Advantage. Over the past year, Project Lead the Way has been working to reimagine the way Algebra 1 is experienced. We're not just talking about equations and graphs. We're talking about a supplemental curriculum that's dynamic, interactive, and immersed in real-world application. We really want to help ignite those light bulbs and create more aha moments in every single classroom. So today, you'll get to hear from Corinne, Carol, Steve, and Sheila about how this Algebra 1 initiative is progressing and what to expect when it is released. This being said, PLTW understands that math is a major pillar for STEM careers. It became evident to our team that Algebra 1 is a pivotal subject for students in their academic journey. Recognizing this, we began this adventure by engaging with outside organizations, teachers, and even students to better understand how we could help address this in the classroom. And through much research and many design thinking sessions that involved both educators and student feedback, we formed the baseline for how Algebra 1 Advantage needed to be developed to help address these concerns. Today, you're going to get an exclusive look at what we've been cooking up. Jimmy Benson, PLTW's Director of New Product Sales, will be guiding us through the ins and outs of Algebra 1 Advantage as our programs team answers many of the questions you all have been eager to ask. With this, it's my pleasure to pass the reins over to Jimmy to help guide us through this journey.
Thank you so much, Taylor. Hi, everyone. My name is Jimmy Benson, Director of New Product Sales for PLTW. I've been with the organization for a couple of years now. Prior to that, I was in education for 15 years, a decade worth of teaching the PLTW engineering curriculum. So really excited that PLTW is taking that approach that I loved for so long into the world of math in order to just infuse the activities, projects, and problem-based approach into math. So that being said, we're going to start hearing from some of our programs team here. Corinne, this first question is going to be for you. And before we get to that, do you mind giving everyone a quick overview and a quick introduction?
Sure, thank you. My name is Corinne Laidley. I'm the Director of Instruction for the Computer Science program for our high school, in the high school. And I've been with the company for almost 10 years, mostly in the computer science space. But before that, I taught in the middle school and high school some computer science courses. And before that, I was a software engineer. My background is in computer science, obviously, and math. Happy to be here. I'm really excited about this project as well, Jimmy. Really cool.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Corinne. All right. So can you tell us more about your vision behind Algebra 1 Advantage?
Sure. So this is a really big passion of us at Project Lead the Way to be getting into math. And as you said, it is definitely a need out there. We've heard a lot from our network of teachers and that there is a need for engagement, to increase engagement in math. So this new curriculum that they were developing is slightly different than what we normally do at Project Lead the Way because it is supplemental in nature. So it is intended to be a supplemental curriculum. It gives students opportunities to apply the math that they're learning in their core curriculum in a relevant and engaging way through projects and problems that we're designing, and we're excited to share some with you today. It also encourages students to focus more on the learning process rather than just getting the right answer, which is sometimes a challenge, we all know. It encourages students to find the math in real world scenarios, get comfortable with exploration and taking multiple attempts, probably failing some of them and trying again, and infusing, reflections and moments of discussion, and making sure that they build resilience and confidence throughout that process. As for the teachers, we really want to provide our math teachers with options for student engagement, like I said, in these math concepts, and also make sure that we're providing a lot of support and resources for them to facilitate it in their classrooms. And actually, I would also like to add one more thing. A lot of our Project Lead the Way teachers know this already, but we like to provide also what we call a general student resources chapter. And it's basically a collection of resources or short, small, snippets of information, if you will, and not necessarily an activity that they will do anything with, but more like informational, that will provide refreshers for a lot of the foundational topics in math, so that we expect those to be used, not just even in algebra, it could be used, in any math. We know it's a foundation for any math curriculum in the future too.
Fantastic. Thanks so much. So PLTW, the famous secret sauce, the activity, project, and problem-based approach.
Yes.
That for those of you who aren't familiar, that's the APB approach that we call that. So can you talk about Algebra 1? Is it utilizing the same curriculum style? How are we infusing what we've always done over the past 26 years into Algebra 1 Advantage?
Yes, that's excellent, actually. So I know that we have teachers who are Project Lead the Way on this call, but then we also have some folks who are new to PLTW. So yes, we are known for our APB approach, our APB model, where students tend to learn and acquire the knowledge and skills in the activities by very scaffolded, activities where we're walking them really step by step through everything and teaching them from scratch with no prior knowledge. Then in the projects is where we have them take opportunities to make meaning of what they've learned and apply it to a well-defined project. And then in the end, we transfer all of that into a problem where it's a lot more loosely defined, a lot more open-ended, a lot more choice for students. And typically that's where, students excel. They're really showing their understanding of everything that they've learned in that unit by solving that problem. In Algebra 1 Advantage, I would say it's a slightly different. You can see this is a little bit, it's grayed out. The activity is grayed out because we are a supplemental curriculum here, which means we are assuming students' initial knowledge and skill acquisition is happening in the core curriculum before they move on to apply it in meaningful ways with our projects and problems. So just wanted to make that clarification as of where we stand today.
Thank you so much, Corinne. All right, so projects and problems are going to obviously be infused in this curriculum. Can you what do projects and problems look like in Algebra 1 Advantage?
Yes, so we were really very intentional to follow a consistent process throughout. We're calling it the 𝐒𝐻𝐵. I don't know, we have to come up with a better name, but that's basically the acronym for this process. Folks who are familiar with our programs, we always have either a software development process or an engineering design process. So something around that as well in Algebra 1. It's the explore, connect, attempt, and reflect. And just like it says, right, in the explore, that's where we're presenting them with a scenario that they can engage with. It could be an interactive or a simulation, a game perhaps, or a physical activity or moving around, with the classroom. So some kinesthetics there as well. And that's kind of like the hook. They might not realize there's math yet. Some they will, but some it's not as obvious. But then the next step is the connect. And in the connect is where they start to think about, okay, how does this make sense? Does this ring a bell? Like, do I know this? Is there any math in here? So we start to kind of slowly connect the math that is behind that exploration. And that's kind of like how we move and transition into the math that is going to be addressed in the project or the problem. I hope that makes sense. So then the next step is the attempt piece. And in the attempt is, as it says, we expect them to try with the knowledge that they have and really make sense out of the math, apply the math that they've looked at, in a new lens possibly, and solve a problem. And we really carefully chose the word attempt because we want them, again, like I said, to be comfortable with failing and trying again, right? It's just an attempt, try again. And then they finally reflect, and that could be an iterative process. So they might go back right to the connect and attempt again, and it just goes on and on. So we want that to become a natural way of thinking, and let them kind of get used to multiple trials. And again, like I said before, the journey and not just the final answer. There's also another piece I'd like to highlight, which is, ways that we're thinking about how do we make students really think of math? How do we make them get comfortable with math and talking about math? So these representations are just a few of the ones that we focus on in the curriculum, and making sure that they understand that each represents a scenario probably is more suitable to represent a scenario or a set of data than another, and how to also translate between them, right? So if I have a word problem, how do I translate that into another representation, or vice versa? So it's really important to keep that front and center as students work through our projects and our problems.
Yeah, Karina, I actually got that feedback today. I was on a call discussing just a one-on-one answering their questions with them. And they had mentioned it when I was demoing a couple of the projects and problems.
Yeah.
The fantastic way that the curriculum isn't it's just a word problem or just a table or just a graph. It's showing how they're all interconnected and they all work together. So that was really good feedback that I got today. All right, awesome. Sheila, this next question is for you. But before I ask that, could you introduce yourself?
Sure. Hi, everybody. My name is Sheila Robles. I'm an instructional developer here at Project Lead the Way on the computer science program team primarily. Been here for 5 years. Before this, I was a computer science teacher. Before that, a math teacher. Got my degree in mathematics early on, and so it's been a blast contributing to this project.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Sheila. This question came in from very many of you, and it's standards based. So is Algebra 1 Advantage aligned with state standards?
Yes. We targeted standards used by states that both have adopted Common Core standards and those states who have chosen to opt out of Common Core.
Fantastic. All right. So since this program is supplemental, it obviously won't address all of the standards. How did PLTW and your team decide on what standards we will address?
Well, that's a great question. Karine has a really great graphic that sums up my answer to this question perfectly. If you can pull that up, awesome. So in addition to building a list of standards, we conducted extensive research that included feedback from teachers and educational institutions. We also partnered with global experts to identify and prioritize the concepts that students struggle with the most, which you can see on the chart here.
Awesome. All right, so we've also been getting a lot of questions around who is Algebra 1 Advantage built for?
Algebra 1 Advantage is built for Algebra 1 students, which we know can be taught as early as 8th grade and sometimes as late as 12th grade. So we see teachers using this for their advanced 8th graders in a regular algebra class, as a lab period, or even as a remediation curriculum.
So A1A, and excuse us on the acronyms. I know Karine was already mentioning one with ECAR. I like that, Karine. But A1A, Algebra 1 Advantage, if you know PLTW, or if you don't, we love our acronyms. So if I say A1A, that's what I mean there. So we built A1A for 8th grade and up. Do you think it's possible to bring down projects and problems into a pre-algebra space to expose those students to future concepts and prepare them for Algebra 1?
Absolutely. So we know teachers know their students best. As a teacher who's trained in A1A can choose when, where, and to whom they want to teach A1A curriculum to.
Awesome. I love that it's just a tool. So PLTW has 108,000 teachers trained so far. So is the Algebra 1 Advantage for current PLTW teachers or any math teacher?
A1A is for both. The curriculum will be accessible to teachers who go through professional development. We will be offering a 2-day training followed by an optional set of virtual sessions to ensure our teachers feel empowered and confident they can implement the curriculum successfully. Once they complete the 2-day training, and it's a one-time training, teachers will gain access to the curriculum.
Thank you so much, Sheila. I appreciate it. Carol, your turn to take the hot seat. Could you please introduce yourself?
Absolutely. Carol Kennard. Hi, everyone. I've been at Project Lead the Way for over 8 years. I'm a senior instructional developer on the computer science team. And before that, I was a software engineer for 15 years and then decided to try teaching. So left the industry and started teaching CS and a bit of algebra. I did that for over 10 years. And now I'm at my favorite job ever.
Awesome. So A1A now. How does A1A specifically increase engagement?
Well, we started, as we brainstormed the concept of this course, we started with the idea that the students who struggle the most have probably asked, why do I need to know this 300 times in their life? And they don't understand why math can apply to them, why it's important, why it makes any sense at all to learn. So we started with that, and we created our projects and problems. We created our curriculum around this idea, and we tried to create a variety of applications for math, making it relevant, engaging, interesting to the students. So, for example, we explain to the students and offer how math is in party planning, and how field biologists might use math, and how farming and sports, and of course saving for a car, and mortgages and things. I don't think we do mortgages yet. I'd have to look at our long-term plan, but we have a lot of variety in all of these math applications. And as you might guess, it also leads to different careers. So as we say, hey, party planning has math, we can talk about a party planner. Or if we talk about a more traditional math field, we could talk about an accountant. So we have these career connections throughout our curriculum. And Corinne, yeah, excellent. So this is one of our career connections. We follow Latoya's journey along the way, how she started with math, or maybe learned math later, or liked it or not. So all of these career connections are giving students a variety of ways to get math to have meaning for them in whatever career they happen to choose. So in addition to the career connections, in addition to the different fields like party planning and field biologists, we try to infuse an interactive, a game, a hands-on activity, something that the students can almost touch and feel, to try to get math to be visual and physical, so that they can connect the abstract ideas to something tangible, and remove some of the mystery behind it. So we, like I said, we created a lot of hands-on activities. We have card games for hands-on activities, physical movement, and our kind of our pride and joy is our digital interactives that are infused throughout the course. And again, Corinne can bring one of these up while I'm introducing it. We usually introduce an activity with this. Like Corinne is saying, this is the explore part. Like, they might not even know math is involved here. And for example, this is one of our activities that relates to farming. Thank you. And if you don't know that when grapes are harvested, their sugar content is the most important part of the harvest cycle. So you want to harvest grapes at the ideal time. And with this refractometer simulation, students can actually do this. So thank you. Corinne knows how to do this. She is running this behind the scenes, pretending to be my student here. And as you select grapes, the days on the vine increase, and there's another number that's increasing. And I think it went by a little fast, but the sugar content is also increasing. So by the end of playing this game that the students learn how to do, or are told how to do, you have a table of data over on the right. And now they can take this table of data, create a graph, learn the function, and predict harvesting. So it makes the math that they use throughout this connected to the physical world and connected to some real career, some tangible items. And this is an example of one of our problems. It has a lot less scaffolding than our projects. So it's a little more open-ended in that students have to apply what they learned and bring all of their knowledge around linear functions at this point into this project. So the Connect will take that harvester and say, this is the math behind it. And the attempt will say, oh, well, now that you know that, can you apply it to something kind of brand new? So that's kind of our eCar model that we use. And I almost forgot to mention something. We want to show more of these later if we have time. And that one of the other concepts we really build into our scenarios and our projects and problems is DEIB. So trying to get a wide variety of careers, a wide variety of professionals is also a very strong goal of ours. And DEI, that's another acronym if you're not familiar: diversity, equity, and inclusion.
Thank you so much, Carol. All right, so PLTW is known for developing communication and collaboration skills through students working together on projects, problems, etc. Do we incorporate group work in A1A to build soft skills?
Lots of different ways. Yep. We first, all of the projects and problems can be done collaboratively, individually, in teams of 2 or 3. And like Sheila was saying, we know teachers know their students best, and we know they know their classroom best. They even know their Mondays versus Fridays best. So maybe on Friday they do collaboration, and on Monday they do individual, because that's how it feels good. So these are all very open to working in groups, working singularly, working with just casual level partners, like, hey, your neighbor, can you help me here, kind of thing. We do have soft skills intentionally created throughout the curriculum. We have group discussions, we have reflections, we explicitly sometimes say, hey, this is a great opportunity to collaborate with a peer. We offer communication around math. And then one of our favorite things, if you notice, we do love to have students get up in front of other students and present their findings, what they've learned, what they've explored, what was challenging, what they couldn't do and had to go ask for help, always presenting to the course or presenting to the peers. So again, teacher-led collaboration throughout the course and intentional collaboration.
Thank you so much. You mentioned facilitating group work, collaborative work. Will the professional development experience prepare teachers, and will we provide resources to ensure comfortability?
Absolutely. One of the things that the professional development will do is really emphasize how this is a supplemental course with projects and problems, and how to facilitate that kind of curriculum, how to collaborate. We have an entire resource that you'll get also outside of professional development, where you will practice that hands-on and share ideas with other people in your cohort. Karine, thank you, is showing this resource we have for all of our teachers, developing transportable skills. This is teacher-based. This isn't for students. This is how can you do classroom management based around developing these skills for your students. We also have, oh, that's a nice one too, community partnerships. If you're doing, want to reach out to your community, there's our diversity, equity, inclusion, and belonging. So we have all of these sort of life skills, soft skills, transportable skills, also baked into the teacher support material.
Thank you so much, Carol. All right, Steve, you're up next. Do you mind introducing yourself before we jump in? I hope Steve's still with us.
You're on mute, Steve.
There we go. Thank you.
Oh, sorry, I was
okay.
muted. My name's Steve Pelfey, and I'm unmuted now. And I'm an instructional development on a team. I've been with Project Lead the Way over 5 years, and I'm very excited to be with you today.
Thanks, Steve. Thanks for joining us. All right, let's jump into it. Knowing that Algebra 1 Advantage is supplemental, meant to enhance current algebra courses, how will Algebra 1 Advantage integrate with their existing curriculum?
I think the key word or phrase is that Algebra 1 Advantage is flexible, and it is a supplemental curriculum. We've said that many times. What that means is that teachers will have to decide when and where to use it and where it fits with their core math curriculum. And we're going to provide lots of tools or signposts so you can make those decisions, and we kind of meet in the middle. So you have your core curriculum, and then you have your supplemental curriculum, and the two have to blend together. And that's the teacher saying, yes, I want to do this project. Yes, I want to do this problem. Some of the things we have in the teacher guide that can help you with this decision making are, for example, a section where we outline per project and problem what students should already know as they get into the project or problem. And then, of course, also you see there the math standards that are highlighted. So those will be two really important places you can look to see you know, is this for my students at this time, given what I'm doing right now? And if you scroll down just a little bit more, there's also like a preparation section. You see that there that gives the teacher a little more information about what they're getting into with this project or problem, what the scenario is that it's based on. You see the 2 days there, which is our estimate of 2 days in this case means 45 minutes, an instructional period times 2, so 2 days. So this teacher guide will be a really good resource for figuring out, you know, where will it fit? How does it fit with what I'm already doing?
Thank you, Steve.
One more thing, Jimmy, before we go on, I just wanted to add, and we might look at this later, on the student side, there are some student-facing goals which are related to the standards, but in student-friendly language. That's also a great place for teachers to look and see, okay, if these are my student goals, are these the student goals that I'm addressing right now in my own class?
Yeah, I feel like when I was teaching, PLTW engineering, I kept uncovering more and more and more resources. And then after diving through Algebra 1 Advantage, it's the same exact experience. There's so much really that is built in there to make sure that everybody is supported. Speaking of that, connecting standards and finding their perfect place into the curriculum, that it's time consuming. That takes a lot of time and effort to sit down with standards. Is there anything that the PLTW programs team will provide that'll help educators navigate that?
Yes, absolutely. I mean, the bits and pieces, as you said, are everywhere. They're plugged in all over, but it can be a little bit of a learning curve or a slow reveal. So we are planning on creating an interactive tool that lets teachers get right to the point and search the different projects and problems, whether it's through the standard that they want to address, whether it's through a keyword of a topic, whether it's through some other search criteria, like does this project or problem have an interactive? And that tool, which we don't have yet, is going to be a great aid, and it's going to, of course, rely on all those little other parts that I just mentioned, but house them all in a way that teachers can search quickly and make the best use of their time to plan and not to spend so much time figuring out, which of these really work for me right now.
So utilizing that tool, if my students struggle with, let's just say, quadratics, I can, put that input in, and it's going to tell me what projects and problems out of the, 50 to 60 projects and problems that are there, which ones specifically I could pull into my class to support that standard.
Yes, that's right. And then there might be those other search criteria you might be interested in as well, such as, does this project or problem use hands-on materials or some other things like that? But yes, absolutely.
That's awesome. That's something that the other PLTW programs doesn't have.
Right.
Awesome. So projects and problems, you mentioned how long they take. Can you dive into that a little bit?
Yes. And again, I'm just going to loop back to this idea of being flexible, because the projects typically are a day. The problems typically are 2 to 3 days. But again, this is at the teacher's discretion. And I think the reason some of the other programs don't have a tool like this search tool, and maybe there isn't as much talk about, making it blend with your curriculum, is because those are meant to be standalone classes for the most part, where, you do teach that class. But here what we have is you have your math class, your core math class, and now you have this additional tool to push student learning. And that's where we do say about a day, which is a 45-minute instructional period for a project, but again, with some flexibility.
Yeah, I know a lot of conversations that I've been having with schools. They talk about their schedule is filled from start to finish. And so having those conversations right now about how do we find time for this, where can we kind of mesh this in and bring these bits and pieces in. So I love the fact that, it's not, you can utilize it if you wanted to and do every single project and problem, or you can pull out the specific ones that are supporting the direct needs that you have with your students. If they're very proficient in linear functions, maybe that's not a project that we pull into it. But if it's quadratics and we need to support that specific standard, incorporating that in maybe a replacement of the 10 questions at the back of the chapter, or finding a way to creatively fit this in to increase that engagement piece. So I love that about Algebra 1 Advantage. So we've received a lot of this this type of question around scope and sequence. Can you talk on scope and sequence for me?
Yes, absolutely. And I'm going to show you another piece here of the teacher guide, which is, thank you, 𝐒𝐻𝐿, which is, you know, a scope and sequence page. It just has the number of days there. And again, I know Sheila said it and then Carol reiterated it. And I'm going to say it a third time, you know, the teachers, you as teachers really know best as to how to use this. Will you do all of the projects and problems in lesson 3? Maybe. Will you do 2? Maybe. Will you go to lesson 4 instead? Because as you had said, Jimmy, you know, your students are really strong on linear functions and they need more help with exponential functions. So that's the place where you're going to have to make those decisions. And I just want to reference one other tool which could be helpful in that, which is the framework document. And for those who are familiar with Understanding by Design, or UBD, this has a understanding by design structure to it. But again, some more signposts or ways to decide if these are the right projects or problems for you. For instance, right there, you have your essential questions. So if your school does essential questions and you see that your essential questions are matching up with the essential questions in this lesson, well, that might be a sign that this is a good choice for you. And again, the final thing is that interactive tool, which unfortunately we cannot preview for you today, but it's headed your way soon. That will be a really great way to dig into all of this content, because we do have lots of different ways of understanding what's in our curriculum.
Thank you so much, Steve. All right, 𝐒𝐻𝐿, this one is back to you. What are some of the findings that we are getting from field testing?
So yeah, we are currently testing as we develop with schools across the country. Feedback's been really helpful in ways like, for example, on topics that students seem to find engaging. Also about feedback from teachers about what kind of supports might be helpful to add. Another thing is like the length. It's taking longer in our classrooms. Trying to adjust for that, or the reading levels was another one, like just making sure that we keep the language very simple. And actually our targeted reading level is averaging 6th grade right now, the majority. We got a couple of 7th grade, but I mean, generally speaking, we are really trying to target 6th grade reading level. And we're also working with an advisory committee. So in addition to the content testing with schools, we have an advisory committee that meets with us. There are teachers, we have educational leaders, and we also have professionals in STEM industries, all giving us feedback on what we're doing and how we're doing it, but also giving us some great ideas for topics and careers to highlight, and real world project scenarios that they are working on with their own team, you know, at work. And how can we bring that and bake in the algebra so that students see that, again, the meaningfulness, right? It's all about the why, like Carol said. So we're really trying to work with all of these folks to make sure we provide the best quality for our kids.
Thank you so much, 𝐒𝐻𝐿.
Mm-hmm.
Steve, Sheila, Carol, 𝐒𝐻𝐿, thank you guys all for answering those specific questions. Is there anything else that you and your team would like to share today?
Well, I'm going to recruit my team. I'm happy to share screen, continue the driving. But yes, we do have, since we've got some time, we'd like to show a few other examples of projects, the exploration piece, and like we said, the interactives that will make this, you know, unique, and then maybe highlight a few pieces throughout the 4-step process for you all. So I'll start with Carol. Let's go.
I'm ready.
All right, let's go to 1-1. I would like to say also before Carol starts that we were having a little fun here and trying all different, you know, genres of interactives and topics and themes and everything. So we have some infused time travel, I would say, in a couple of examples. So this is one of them where kids get to time travel. I'm really excited about what the team has developed here. So Go ahead, Carol.
Yeah, so we took a bit of fancy here and said that a field biologist that perhaps may study meerkats could time travel back to an extinct meerkat and collect them and study them. So that is the idea here. So we introduced the idea of mobs of meerkats, and here's our interactive that I designed this and got this for students to maybe become a little more engaged in how an equation might work. So if you click on Let's Go, we start traveling back in time, and we're walked through this introduction. This was also something they had read prior to coming in here. We didn't show it to you in the activity, but we have a help facility. Thank you for that. But they're in the early Pleistocene era, 1 million years ago, and they are supposed to collect meerkats, and they're going to be collecting in mobs of 3. They'll track it with the equation above. Please click next. And a few days ago, you collected 9 individual meerkats. This is a new collection day. And next, please. So you haven't collected any today. That X is 0, and your total is 9. And they can take as long as they want. They can ask questions about this. But when they're ready to go, click next. We can have, using arrow keys or WAS keys, whatever, we're going to go and collect mobs. And here we go. And then now we're going to move our little time traveler Wade down and collect meerkats. And you can see the equation changing as Wade collects mobs of 3. And then when they get up to a total of, what is our big number, Kareen? I'm testing you here. You ready? What's our goal number here? How many meerkats do we need to collect? Don't collect too many.
Sorry, I was on mute because I don't
Oh.
clicking to be loud.
So you actually know the answer?
Are we aiming for 48? Remind me again.
No, 45. It's right there on the
45.
screen. We're close. One more.
Oh, I'm
one more
close.
mob.
Look at my gauge is moving too. I do enjoy.
The gauge is moving.
Yes,
There we
yes.
are. We completed the mission and we've collected all of our meerkats. If they make a mistake, they can reset. But when they go back into the curriculum, they now have that 3x plus 9 equals y, hopefully a little more tangible than just this simple equation. As an example of how they can connect to this, they solve for x, then we change the numbers on them. We change the size of the mobs. We have another interactive like this that has mobs of 4, and they have to collect it, a different amount, and or they collect the same amount and they see how x is reduced, because if you're collecting in mobs of 4, oh, there's our connect. Yeah, so we haven't gotten to the new numbers yet. But hopefully our curriculum is interactive, engaging like this, where they can learn how to manage the math around it. And a common image that we use here, a common concept that we have is this input expression output, or input function output, or X equation Y. We use this kind of process throughout our curriculum. And here we have a simple linear function. And then over in the Explore is where we change it up. I'm sorry, in the attempt, wrong word. And that's where we change it to where they're collecting in mobs of 4. So it's the same interactive. We don't need to see it again, but it's a new equation, mobs of 4. Wade is time traveling back another day and has a new mission. So this is an example of how we embed these hopefully visual or physical, or at least conceptually engaging activities and interactives into the projects and problems.
Thank you, Carol.
You bet.
Kareen, who's up next?
Sheila? Or no, Steve.
Well, this is another scenario, saving up for a car, that has a custom designed interactive that just has the project written for it and around it, and it's designed for the project. So these are all custom pieces, and in this one, it's about your savings and then your monthly income. So you could maybe, I can let you know that this is not going to be like an interest earning savings. This is still a linear functions project where your earnings are your monthly contributions, and then your savings would be in linear algebra speak, your y-intercept, or and And then the whole scenario is built around different, again, inputs and outputs and saving for your car. And you can see there if they have enough initial savings and enough monthly income, then yes, they can afford their car. And if they don't, then they don't. So again, a custom interactive that the scenario is built around.
I had a conversation with one of our content testing site teachers, and she had said that when her students first started doing the research portion of this, they were very upset that they couldn't afford the Ferrari that they wanted, and they had to finally set on the 25-year-old Honda Civic that they found on Craigslist. So that was a fun, engaging way to kind of showcase all the different ways that algebra infuses itself into our own lives that we almost don't even notice that it's happening.
Yeah, and there's a second part to that point, Jimmy, to this project where students choose some jobs, and I don't think these jobs are going to get them that Ferrari anytime soon. So, but this is interactive where they can complete that process of, do I have enough income to buy this car, by choosing some jobs, seeing how much those jobs pay, and then going through a process of, okay, if I chose this job and worked this many hours, and maybe someone like a family member or a parent contributed to my savings, what kind of car can I actually buy? And yeah, even that little yellow car might be a little too fancy for the first time car purchase, but it's definitely not a Ferrari.
Her students had said that they really, as much as it was disheartening at some moments, they really enjoyed all the different variables that they didn't know came with purchasing a car, from the taxes, the maintenance, just all the different things that come along when you make a big purchase like this. So that was good feedback to hear. Thank you, Steve.
Thank you.
Sheila?
Yeah, so continuing on that like linear expression pathway, here we have a time budget, and somewhat similar to the money, we're now looking at, do students have enough time to do the things they want in the day, considering that they sleep for 8 hours. And so in this interactive, they just can play with it, maybe change how many minutes are in their class period to something, checkbox, extra responsibilities like eating, chores, homework. Maybe they have 7 classes in the day, and they can see that circle quickly filling up, leaving less and less free time as they continue checking boxes. So they just explore this based around their life, and they have the opportunity to discuss their results from this with their classmates. And then in the connect and the attempt, we talk about what is the equation that's running this interactive. We give them the opportunity to explore the different parts of the equation. So the section that has to do with free time, the section that has to do with their responsibilities, and then the AX being their time in school. So we break this down in the connect, and we give them the opportunity to see, well, what if we have to add? So in this interactive, we don't talk about brushing your teeth or getting dressed or driving to school. So in the attempt, we bring that up, and it's kind of talks about, well, what if we add these things in? How much free time do you have? And so in the attempt, they change that equation a little bit to account for those extra responsibilities of like brushing your teeth and getting dressed, and they see how that affects their potential for homework after school. And then we tie this all back to the real world with, having a school work-life balance and how important it is, and it's healthy to set these boundaries. And so a calculator like this can help them visualize how they're spending their time and how they might change their lifestyle so that they can have a better balance.
I just want to jump in real quick
Yeah,
and
go ahead.
take complete responsibility. But apparently I am displaying like what's not published. So I apologize for any kind of notation you see around some of our, of course, now I'm not going to find one, but there are, whenever you see, whenever you see these, extra notation, it's just for our math engine. So when it publishes nicely with math notation that is accessible, and you can read it through a screen reader and everything. So my bad. I should have went. I should
No,
have
it's
gone
okay.
for the published versions. I
And
apologize.
Corinne, it's okay. We can talk about that. It's a good point. So
Yeah.
PLTW is creating this program in a different fashion than we ever have before. We know that 89% of students that do not complete Algebra 1 by the time they finish their sophomore year of high school don't graduate high school. So this is something where we're kind of parting the Red Sea here and being like, let's get a tool in teachers' hands as fast as possible in order to address some of the learning loss that's happened over the last 3 years. So it's okay that it's not all perfectly refined and ready to go. It will be once we have full published, and so that's perfectly okay, Corinne. So I think we've got another one to share. Steve?
One last one.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, here's another one. Again, a different style and a different look, but another interactive. In this case, around 2 runners running a sprint, the 100-meter dash. And here's the interactive. Yep. So you can set the speeds of the runners and then provide an advantage for the slower runner in one of 2 ways. You can give them you can give the slower runner a head start, or you can delay the faster runner by some amount of time. And then when you hit start, off they go. And in the bottom, you see values flashing. That's just a table of values that you can grab through a cut and paste if you want to look at the values in some kind of graphing software or something. You also get a graph with, as Corinne's showing, when you hover over the line, it gives you the coordinate points. And now you see, okay, the red runner is just finishing and has lost a race. You can see where one runner overtook the other one, where the lines cross, and that is the topic of this problem and a lot of this lesson, which is solving systems of equations. So this problem is built around different scenarios and having students create different scenarios. Okay, what if you created a scenario where with a head start, the beginning runner won the race? Okay, what does that look like? What if you created a situation like this where the one runner overtakes the other one, and so on, including using that delayed start? So this really gives students a chance to work through a wide variety of scenarios around this race. And then at the very end, there's a reflection question that oh, sorry, let me just stop here. You see those, Corinne, the representations?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so this is where we do some of that work of making sure that students represent a scenario in a variety of ways, graphically with an equation. In this case, the pink means they're going to interpret the word problem. That's what they're given. And then those pink arrows mean they're going to move into other representations. So a lot of the curriculum is written this way, where your job is to coordinate and make sure and verify that all the representations are telling you the same story. And then in this one, in the reflect, they're asked the question, would you rather get a head start of some amount of distance, or would you rather, line up at the starting line with the other runner and you start and then let them start with the delay behind you? And no right or wrong answer, but it turns out that getting the distance head start might be a little bit of a better strategy, because it's hard to run your full speed for 100 meters. So if you can chop some distance off of there, you might be closer to running your full speed for the entire race. So I think that gives you a peek into some of what we're doing here and some of those interactives that drive the learning and hopefully also the engagement that we're looking for.
Absolutely. I know if it was me running, it would be fast and then just flat, slow, or complete stop and hands on the knees, and I'm struggling here. So.
Well, there's a question in there, Jimmy, that says, to the students, you may have run a race, how did you feel after running a race? To which I answered, well, I felt terrible. Of course, I felt absolutely terrible. How do you feel after you run a race? But yeah, I hear you on that one.
Love it. All right. Well, thank you so much, Carol, Sheila, Steve, Corrine. Thank you so much for joining us on this, and Taylor for putting this all together. And we appreciate all of you obviously taking time out of your day to learn more about Algebra 1 Advantage. We're very excited about this program and the potential this is going to have with students across the nation. So if you have any specific questions, please feel free to put those into the Q&A before you exit the webinar. And I will personally send you an answer. And if I don't know it, I know 4 people who will know it. And I will reach out to them and make sure that we can answer those questions specifically. On top of that, if you're looking for any one-to-one support, I'm your point person for any questions you have around Algebra 1 Advantage. Whatever that may be, feel free to reach out to me. I will send a recording of this webinar to everybody who registered and to all of you. So you'll get a copy of this that'll be coming from me. So feel free to just reply back to that email if you have a couple of questions, or if you'd like to set up a meeting to talk with me on the logistics of everything. Feel free, don't hesitate. We are here to support you. So with that all being said, thank you very much. And I appreciate you all attending.